Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I wanted to give you an update, or I guess maybe a little bit of a final wrap up on all of my priority reads for 2023. These are books that I decided I wanted to make a priority in 2023. And did I read them? Answer is not all of them. Not all of them. So we're going to do a little wrap up. I will show you what I read, what I haven't read, why, all that good stuff. There are 12 books on this list, basically one a month was kind of what I was thinking. So yeah, all right, let's get into it. Number 1, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I have not read this. It is huge. I picked this one because it is a series that I would like to read, and it is a sci-fi. And sci-fi was the genre I wanted to concentrate more on this year. We'll talk about that later in my goals wrap up. But I did not read this book. And now it's December, and it's just not going to happen based on other things that I'm reading and things I'm trying to wrap up. So unfortunately was not able to get to this one. Still want to. So it'll just go back on my shelves for whenever I'm ready for it. But yeah, I didn't read this one. The next one I had was Still Life by Louise Penny. This is the first book in her Armin Gamache series. And I did read this. I did. I started reading this when the Currently Reading podcast decided to do a full reread of this series, and they would do episodes based on each book. And I read the first 2 books in the series. I still need to read number 3 so I can listen to that episode because it is out now. But I did enjoy this one. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't the best. It was fine. The second book I gave 4 stars. I like that one a little bit better. And I had heard that it takes a few books to really kind of get going with this series, and it is a very long series. So I'm committed to it. I'm going to keep going. I do plan to read the next book, here probably maybe in the next few weeks. I would like to pick that one up, book number 3. But I did enjoy it. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to keep going with Louise Penny and see where she ends up taking this little community of 3 Pines. Okay, the next one, funnily enough, is Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I'm currently reading this book. I am, as of filming, I'm on page 55. So it's going well, though. I am enjoying what I'm reading. I'm really enjoying his writing, and I like the setting that he's creating, and there's a brutality to it that I really enjoy. Our main character right now is not okay. Very much not okay. Darrow is not. But I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. I think I just hit part 2, I believe. Let me double check my facts. Hang on. Yes, I just hit part 2, like the first chapter in part 2. So I am going to be continuing this because it is a 5-star prediction. So I will have a wrap up for this towards the end of the month for sure. But yeah, I'm currently reading it. So we're going to call it a win. Okay, the next one is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, and I did read this, and I loved it. I loved this book so much. This was a complete 5-star, and this has characters in here that really just, I was taken away with. I love all the characters in this book, especially Wallace and Hugo, who are the 2 main characters. And yeah, it was just, it gave me the same feelings as when I was reading House in the Cerulean Sea, which I loved so much as well. That's one of my all-time top 10 favorite books. And this one gave me similar feelings as well, just in the whimsy of it and the charm of it and the way these characters are just, they're charming and they're funny and you fall in love with them, and then you get a little angry at them and then you want to scold them a little bit, but it's okay because they're your precious babies. Like that. That's how I felt reading this book, and I just loved it. Loved it, loved it. TJ Klune is a favorite author of mine, hands down. The next one, I don't have a copy of anymore because I sent it to somebody, but The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I DNF'd this one. I could not. I think I made it halfway through, and I couldn't do it, guys. I hated the characters in this book to the point where I was screaming and I wanted to throw the book across the room. They didn't seem right for each other at all. The woman was very juvenile in the way she dressed and the way she acted and the way she talked. And I was like, this is supposed to be a grown woman with a job, like a real job. And she's acting like that. The man is obviously polar opposite. He's, in a suit and he takes everything way too seriously. He doesn't have a sense of humor. He doesn't want a relationship, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff, right? It seemed very, checking boxes for a brooding male character, which can be fine. But how polar opposite he was from her, it was almost a cliche for me. And I don't know. I wasn't buying into it. I didn't buy their chemistry at all. Not even a little bit. I never once felt like their relationship felt genuine or real. And they go through all of this emotion and they have this huge emotional, talk, which they had finally needed to have. And right before they're starting to get busy, he tells her he can't offer her anything more than just sex. And I went, I'm sorry. Then why did we have a 5-page conversation about relationships and how in love with her you are? There were tears from the characters. And now all of a sudden you can only okay. That made me put the book down. As soon as he said that, I said, I'm out. I can't do this. I couldn't do it. I am definitely the minority opinion on this book. This book sells so well in our store. This book is loved by many romance readers. So I am definitely not the end all be all of opinions of this book. I'm in the minority here, and that's fine. It didn't work for me. Not even a little bit. And then I had put another sci-fi on my list because I wanted to read more sci-fi this year. And I put Dune by Frank Herbert. This is a book that I also read for 5-star predictions. And I did read it. I listened to it on audio, which is fantastic. It's a full cast. It's a really good audio. The book was just fine, though. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I liked the concept of it. I liked the world it was set on. However, I do feel like there's a lot of detail, and I found myself getting lost in it. I got lost in the details. I started losing interest because of how detailed it was. I would just kind of check out a little bit because it just kept going on and on about where every single grain of sand is on this planet. I can tell you because we get all that information. And I wanted a little bit more action. There were some good action scenes in here. So I will say that when there was action, it was good. So I did enjoy those parts, definitely. And I did like the characters in here. I just felt like it was way too descriptive to the point where I was losing interest and I wasn't really, it took me a while to get through it because I was just kind of like, whatever. And yeah, so it was a 3-star. It was fine. I will not read anymore in the series at all, but I definitely want to watch the movie. I think the movie will give me more of what I'm looking for in cutting out all the details that I wasn't caring about in here and just giving me all the action stuff. So I definitely will be watching the movie for sure. The next one is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. And I did read this and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. This was a big 5 stars for me. And this is another one that I did listen to on audio because I had heard that the audio was great, and it really, really was. Now, the fun thing about this book is that you get a perspective from the octopus, and his narration in the audiobook was sublime. It was perfect. I loved it so much. I found myself cackling out loud listening to this book because of his narration and just... oh, I loved it. This is a really fantastic story about a woman who is dealing with some grief in her life. And you are following her as she works as a custodian at an aquarium, and she starts building this relationship with this giant Pacific octopus. There's also other stuff happening in the same town. It's a small town, so everyone's kind of in everyone's business. And you see some things happening with other characters as well that they all kind of tie together in the end, but it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved all the characters in this book, and yeah, it was really good. I recommend this book all the time. This next one is kind of funny. Bear with me. So I have The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. I have not read this yet, but I will read it before the end of the month because this is another 5-star prediction. So I will be reading it very, very soon. As soon as I finish Red Rising, I'm going to pick this one up like back to back, and I will have it read before the end of the year. So you have that to look forward to. So I can't talk about it yet, but definitely excited to read it. And I'm going to be buddy reading it with somebody, which I think is going to be really great because I think there's going to be a lot to talk about in here. So I'll have a wrap up for this at the end of the month. Okay, the next one is Finley Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. I read this and I loved it. This was so much fun. It was so much fun. I really, really enjoyed all of my time reading this book. And I loved Finley as a character, and just the things that she was getting into were both funny and like I could see how this stuff was happening. The other fun thing about this is this book is set locally to where I live, like currently in Virginia. The town that this is set in is about 20 minutes north of me, and I have been there quite a few times. I could go there right now if I wanted to. I've done some shopping up there and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun to kind of hear some local stuff. And it even mentions the shopping mall that I normally frequent. So that was pretty cool. So, some local stuff happening in here, which is fun. And I just had a really good time. I really enjoyed my reading experience with this. I definitely will read the rest of the series as well. I haven't moved on yet, but I definitely plan to. So yeah, this was a 5-star. I hate that I'm holding up this book. And I hate that I haven't read it yet. You guys are gonna... I don't even want to say words. I haven't read it yet, okay? Okay, move on. Let's move on. I hate it. Okay. The next one is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I read this and I loved it. I loved it. Do I love these characters? Nope. I actually don't. I didn't love the characters. There's only one character in here that I loved, and he was a side character. But I did like him a lot. I did not like the main characters, and that's okay. The story was still really, really good, and it really made me have a lot of feelings. And when I was reading this, I was just so immersed into it and so invested in what was happening. Even though I didn't love the characters, I was still really like caring about what happened to them. And yeah, it took some turns I was not expecting, which is fantastic. And I loved it. I loved my reading experience with this one. So yeah, this was another 5-star. And last, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Now, this is a reread for me. So I've read this book before, but I wanted to reread it because I wanted to get into the Cosmere with Brandon Sanderson. I've read a few Brandon Sandersons before, and I just wanted to kind of like start at the beginning and work my way through the Cosmere. And I wanted to get started on that process. That is a huge thing because the Cosmere is a huge universe. There's so many books already and they're still going, that are involved in this. But I wanted to just kind of get the ball rolling on that and start working on it. Did I? No. I read some. I got to page 168 and then I put it down and I have not gone back to it. And that was over the summer. So that is a big fat fail. Spoiler for my goals wrap up. That was a big fat fail. And I have not gone back to read this again yet. It's still sitting on my cart. It's still I would like to really pick it back up again at some point. I need to start tabbing it. That's the thing too. I kind of want to go back a little bit and see if I can kind of skim through what I've already read and start tabbing some things. Because I think this is a great series to do that in, like this whole world, tabbing some stuff up. So I will do that. That's a whole other thing. And it's fine. It will not be happening right now. And that's okay. But yeah, I'll get back to Brando Sando. I promise. Okay, so final stats of the 12. I read 7. 1 is a DNF, but I'm counting it as read because I read half of it. And then I'm in the middle of 2, or I will be reading 2 more before the end of the year. So I think I'm going to count those. So that means there are only 3 that I didn't get to at all. That's pretty good. I think those are good odds. I'm not mad about this. So yeah, those are my priority reads and how they went. Again, I will have 2 more wrapped up before the end of the year, but I think I did pretty good. And I'm definitely going to do this again next year. I'm going to pick some reads to put on a priority list and see what I can do, see if I can read most, if not all of them. And they will be different books. I'm not going to put any repeats on there. So I'm still kind of building my list. I have a few things written down, but I'm still kind of working on that. But that will be for a January video. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please let me know if you read any of these books, and I will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.